So in this video, we're going to take a look at standard form or scientific notation. So before we get into the definition and what that is, let's just have a quick reminder about some exponents and some negative indices or exponents and how we can write different numbers. So the first thing I want to think about is how we can write numbers. So let's imagine a number such as 3,000. Well, it is absolutely true that I could write that as 3 times 1,000. Or I could write 780 as 7.8 times 100. I could write 90700, so 90,700 as 9.07 times 10,000. So all of those are true statements, and they all have something in common, is I've managed to write them as, first of all, a number, right? And that number is always between 1 and 10, multiplied by some sort of power of 10. Now, if I can do that to a number, then I have written it in standard form. I've just got to adjust this ever so slightly. So rather than writing it as 3 times 1,000, I'm going to write it as 3 times 10 cubed, because 1,000 is 10 cubed. And 7.8 times 100, well, I'm going to write that as 7.8 times 10 squared. And 9.07 times 10,000, I'm going to write as 9.07 times 10 to the power of 4. So these things here on the right hand side are correct standard form. A number between 1 and 10 times a power of 10. And again, another number between 1 and 10 times a power of 10. And another number between 1 and 10 times a power of 10. And this is the definition of standard form or scientific notation. The number must be between 1 and 10, and we have some sort of power of 10 as our multiplier. Okay, so now we know that, let's jump in and see if we can figure out some more patterns going on here. So let's pick a simple number, 7, 8, 2, 0, 0, 0. Okay, now, first thing we're going to do is work out what our number is that goes at the front, our number between 1 and 10. And if I've got 782 as my leading digits of this number, then I'm going to write 7.82 as my beginning of my standard form. So I already know that it's going to be times 10 to the power of something. I have just got to work out what goes here as the power. So I've got to work out what's happening here. And if you think about timesing by 10, it's going to move a number up or down the place value system, pushing it to the left or to the right, and from that decimal place. So if the decimal place, I have written it between the 7 and the 8, it's a bit like it's here, well, I can count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to where it should be. So that means I am going to be having a 10 to the power of 5. Okay, so that's going to be my answer. Let's look at another one. So let's try 761. Okay, so 761, this is 7.61 times 10 to the something, and we're going to count. So we've just put the decimal place between the 7 and the 6, so 1, 2. This is going to be 7.61 times 10 squared. Okay, let's try one more of these. So what about 400000? Well, this time we want the number between 1 and 10 to be 4, and we have to count how many spaces we've moved it. So that means it would have been there, look. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is going to be 4 times 10 to the power of 6. Okay, so that is in general how we do this, right? Now, what about the other way around? So imagine this time we were given a number in standard form and we had to write it in the regular way of writing a number. So let's make up an example. 7.2 times 10 to the 3. Okay, so, well, before we go any further, we've got to be honest. It's kind of obvious what the first two digits are going to be. They're going to be 7 and 2. It's our only option. So we're going to write the 7 and 2 in. Now, I think to start with, before we get a feel for these things, we just need to write some zeros. Let's just write a load of zeros. Now, that's not the right answer, but let's just leave them there, and they're going to act as like place value markers. So if I know I've moved my decimal place or pushed my number past that decimal place 3 spaces, let's count the other way to see what happened. So 1, 2, 3. I started that at the decimal place that I wrote my standard form in, and it ended up here. So that is going to be my number. Let's just rewrite that a little bit neater underneath. My answer is 7,200. Let's do this again. 4.9132 times 10 to the power of 4. So again, what we're going to do, let's write this number out without the decimal place, 491,382. Let's put some zeros just in case we need them. You can probably guess we're not going to need them, but let's write them there as standard practice. Now, originally, the decimal place was between the 4 and the 9. Let's count 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where the decimal place is going to go. Let's rewrite this answer. 49138.2. Okay, I hope that's helped you to understand how to write a whole number in standard form or scientific notation. Remember, our number must be between 1 and 10 at the start, multiplied by a power of